The Sixers won by 20 points last night against the Sacramento Kings. So why is today's show going to have such a negative undertone? I'm not feeling negative. I don't want to be negative, but how I describe and discuss last night's win is going to sound really negative. We'll get into it here. And old sports takes of yours exposed. You sent them to me. We're going to go into them. We're going to have a little fun today. Trending in the AM starts in 30 seconds.
Holding, gets around in front. Joel Embiid,
and Philadelphia has it.
And a very good morning, everybody. Welcome to Trending in the AM, right here on DSM Media. We're live, as always, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. You know the drill. Like, share, retweet, follow on all social media platforms, and help us continue to spread the word here. I am Phil Thybulle, your host. Thank you, Kyle. Yes, I appreciate that, my man. Make sure you hit the like, the comment, the subscribe button on the YouTube page. We'd greatly appreciate it for my birthday. Everybody go out there, like and subscribe to the DSM Media YouTube page. Sixers win last night by 20. Lose, but see, I'm already feeling negative. Sixers win last night by 20. We're going to talk about it, but I kind of feel like I want to forewarn you guys. I'm not negative. I'm not trying to be negative. It's just going to come across in a negative way what I feel about last night's game and how frustrated I am with the fact that they could play so well last night and be so dominant and put it together for four quarters so easily against a good Sacramento Kings team, yet other times they can't come close. So that's kind of where I'm going with this. It's not negative. It's just frustrating because I could see what they're capable of. So that's going to be the first thing we talk about today. Secondly, obviously, Carlos Correa breaking news last night. San Francisco Giants, huge contract. It just makes Dave Dombrowski and what he's doing look so much better. The fact that the Phillies were able to get Trey Turner for $50 million less. Trey Turner's probably a better baseball player than Carlos Correa. So that's a really big deal right there. And, of course, I had the thread on Twitter yesterday. Your worst sports takes, give them to me. That you were wrong. Admit, clear your conscience. And there's this whole thing that people can't ever be wrong about their sports takes. So we're going to get into that a little bit as well. But let's dive into this Sixers talk first. Sorry, guys. I'm still bad on this cough. I can't get over it. So Sixers last night take on the Sacramento Kings. We talked about it a little bit before yesterday's show about this game and how I was going to pay close attention to this game because the Sacramento Kings always seem like a good trade candidate for the Sixers, a good trade partner. They got a lot of moving pieces and stuff like that that could be moved. When the Sixers come out last night, when they just dominate them, they win by 20, 123-103. But honestly, it wasn't even really that close. There was a little stretch in the third quarter where the Kings were able to cut the 25-plus point lead to 15. And I think that's as close as it got. They really pretty much dominated from the opening tip right through the end of the game. Joel Embiid, another dominating performance, another 31 points. He only had to play 30 minutes last night. I'm actually kind of disappointed Doc he actually put him out there for a minute or two there in the fourth quarter. There was no need to do that. You put your big guy at a big risk there. Tobias Harris, his three-point shooting came down a little bit last night, but he still was an ultra-dominant performance last night. You know, dropping 21, 9 assists, 7 boards. To me last night, Tobias Harris, even though he did not have his best three-point shooting night, he's been shooting the ball really well from deep lately. He didn't have his best three-point shooting night, but it was one of his best performances this year, in my opinion. I just saw a lot of great downhill movement from him, going to the rim, and a lot of confident shots. And that was great. Matisse Thybulle got the start because D'Anthony Melton was out with a back injury, which that kind of just creeped up out of nowhere. They mentioned briefly yesterday, he's been dealing with back issues. He hasn't practiced in ages. That kind of came out of nowhere. Another guy getting hurt. seems like we're getting a lot of injuries this year with this Sixers team. Matisse steps into the starting lineup, and he gets two quick fouls and has to be pulled 2 minutes into the game. He was able to get back into the flow of the game once time ticked away, and he had an effective game last night. You had Shake Milton, another effective game off the bench. James Harden, again, a really good performance from James Harden, another 15. They said last night, I can't believe this, first Sixers since Maurice Cheeks in 1986 to have 2 straight 15-plus assist games. It's kind of hard to imagine that that's not happened more frequently with some of the guys that we've had here with Ben Simmons and stuff like that. But literally, even PJ Tucker knocked down a couple corner threes last night. Everything went perfectly. Now, how much of that was because the Kings aren't as good as their record says they are and are on a really long road trip, which Sixers fans and Doc Rivers used that excuse and has been using that excuse for, plenty of times when we go on these losing streaks. Well, it was a road trip, scheduled loss, this, that, and the third. How much of it was that for the Kings? How much of it is they're just not that good? But how much of it is just that the Sixers played a complete game, even shorthanded? I mean, think about it. They were out. Melton, as I said, Daniel House still out with his lacerated foot, which I missed something there. I don't know anything about this lacerated foot, how he lashed. I just keep thinking that he stubbed his toes somewhere at home and cut it. And still Tyrese Maxey out, which hopefully Tyrese Maxey's back within the next week or so. But even with all that shorthanded, they played a complete game last night. They're getting the ball downloaded to Joel Embiid. They're kicking out to their shooters. Everybody was knocking down their open shots last night. I mean, outside of Tobias. I mean, he shot almost 46% from 3 last night. George Niang, 4 of 8. PJ Tucker, 2 of 3, like I said. James Harden knocked down 4 of 7 from deep. Matisse Thybulle even knocked down 3 out of 4 deep balls. I'm frustrated after last night's win. Last night's win just proves how good this Sixers team can be, how good the Sixers team should be, but yet they're not. And it's frustrating as hell to me because you've got Joel Embiid, this uber talented guy, one of the greatest centers of all time, one of the greatest basketball players of all time, and we can't get these complete team performances night in and night out. And I'm not sure why. Well, I mean, I know why. I have a pretty good idea why. I just don't understand where this whole how to get this team. Look, we've said it before. Look, obviously, I want Doc Rivers out of here. I'm not going to shut. I'm just actually going to cut right to the point. Everything I want to say is centered around that it's Doc Rivers' fault that we have great performances last night and we're capable of them, but don't do it on a nightly basis. I put the full blame on Doc Rivers. But obviously they showed last night that they are capable, even with Doc Rivers there, of doing this, of forgetting, winning despite Doc Rivers, kind of, feeling wise. So why don't they just do it? Are they trying to get Doc Rivers fired? I don't know. Like, it really does not comprehend to me how they could play the way they played last night and not do it on a nightly basis. I mean, literally. You found a way to get Matisse Thybulle involved. You needed somebody else to step up last night. He did. He played 22 minutes and scored 15 points. 15 points might be a career high for him, honestly, at this point. I mean, I don't know the last time Matisse Thybulle scored 15 points. I definitely don't know if he's never knocked down 3 or 4 threes. I mean, it's crazy. Hell, Matisse Thybulle played a great game last night. Didn't have a single steal or block shot. That's crazy. James Harden with the steals. James Harden and Tobias Harris have been getting a lot of steals lately. Really, really curious to what the uptick in those numbers really are from. But you find a way to get Matisse involved like last night. That should build his confidence. Your next game, which is Friday against Golden State, you should build upon this. And you should be able to continue to build upon this. But can any Sixers fan really have the confidence that they're going to build upon it? I don't know. I don't have the confidence in it. And it comes back to Doc Rivers. Doc Rivers has, like I said a few times on the show, he's built a loser's culture, loser's mentality in Philly. Well, he's created that same mentality in the fan base. He's given us no reason to trust. We've won 3 games in a row, but that's just after losing 3 games in a row. Unless you can continually build and win 3 or 4 in a row and only lose 1, and then win 3 or 4 more in a row and then lose 1. Unless you can stack those kind of win-loss stretches, it's all for naught. Because, we might be home right now for the 7-game home stretch. Then we're going to go on the road for 5 games. And things are going to change again. It's got to come down to Doc Rivers. It really does. To me, he's got to be the common denominator of the problem on this team. If you can get 15 points, I don't even need 15 points from Matisse Thybulle. I need the potential that there's 15 points ever from Matisse Thybulle. I said it yesterday, and I didn't know when we did the show yesterday. I said, maybe you put Matisse in the starting lineup over PJ Tucker. Well, if Matisse can knock down a 3 occasionally, then you might want to consider moving Tucker to the bench for the time being. I always said it with Matisse. It wasn't necessarily the form or whether he knocks down his shots. I mean, he got a bunch of baskets also cut into the rim yesterday or last night, and him as a slasher is just as important as him knocking down threes. And he did miss that alley-oop, pass from Joel. That was kind of frustrating to me. It was probably very frustrating to Joel. But, it's the confidence with Matisse. When he gets that open look, if he just takes the shot confidently, I don't care about the form. I don't care if they go in or not. It's the confidence. I would rather Matisse knock down 29-30% of his shots from deep, but be confident in taking those shots versus knocking down 35% of them, but passing up half of them because he's not confident, or the hesitation or the little giddy up that he sometimes has in his shot when he's not 100% confident in what he's doing. Matisse Thybulle to me is still one of those guys. I just don't know what to do with him. You see last night, you see his potential, and I don't know what the numbers say, whether he was on him a lot or not, but he was definitely guard De'Aaron Fox from time to time, their best scorer, their leading scorer. De'Aaron Fox had a bad game. Not only did he not score a lot, De'Aaron Fox had 13 points last night. He only took 15 shots. He was 5 of 15, 1 of 7 from deep, only had 1 assist. Guy averages 5-6 assists, 5-6 rebounds, and 23 points a game. He had 13, 4, and 1 last night. I'm telling you, part of that is because Matisse Thybulle was on him guarding him. And you know that's what he brings to the table, that great defense. If you could just get that confidence level up, he's a viable NBA player. Now he's coming to the end of his last year on his deal. He'll be a restricted free agent. Who knows what you do with him in the offseason? But the other end of the spectrum is, do you look at if he's not going to be that regular piece for you when Melton comes back, when Maxey comes back, when everybody's healthy, if he's not going to get regular minutes, should we be looking at trading him now? Like I said, he's a restricted free agent at the end of the year. Somebody will pay him more than the Sixers are willing to at this point. But do you consider moving him? I mean, somebody tweeted out last night, and it's so accurate. He plays 22 minutes last night, plays effectively. But who's to say, based off of the way Doc does things around here, that he's going to get 3 minutes on Friday night against Golden State, and then he'll get 33 minutes. Then it'll be a DMP coach's decision. Doc Rivers' inability to give these guys specific roles and keep them consistent has backfired. Look, at this point, would you rather have Daniel House out there or Matisse Thybulle? Different positions, but play the same type of role. My man. Thanks, Joe. Appreciate you for checking in this morning. Pod beard, or is that what we're calling it? The pod beard? That doesn't really have a good... It might look good on the screen. It doesn't have a good flow to it. So, what do? Do you trade Tyrese Maxey? You might have to at this point, because there is the glimmer of hope. You're going to have to make adjustments to this team. I suggested yesterday, and I suggested again last night, Tobias Harris, whether he's the guy that's got to go. And you might, if you're going to make those moves, you might want to do them now. Hey, early in the season, give you more time to integrate new pieces into the lineup. But the guy's playing his best basketball, as in probably since the Jimmy Butler days. He's probably playing his best basketball. You maximize that value while you can. You watch last night's game. I really wanted to pay close attention to last night's game, to see what Harrison Barnes was looking like, and he had a terrible game. And De'Aaron Fox, and what he's been like, and he had a terrible game. Kevin Huerter, who's been lights out, had a horrible game last night. Goes down to show that we have some really great defensive players here, and we're really good. We just so manhandled them. Yet I still feel so negative. And it's frustrating to me to feel negative after a big Sixers win. I really shouldn't have to feel the way I do today after a really, really strong, solid, all-around win. So what do we need? We need to see them stack it and keep it going. I mean, look, Golden State comes here on Friday. They're not the Golden State of old. They're playing better basketball, but they're not playing great basketball. I'm pulling them up. They're 14-14. I'm pretty sure they've won. They had a little bit of a run where they were 5-1. But they've lost 3 of their last 4 games. They play tonight, and then they play again Friday. They're on a road trip right now. They played some tough games: Boston, Milwaukee, the Pacers, and then us. Maybe you get them at a good time. Everything says that we should have how do I say this? If the Sixers are going to use these long road trips as an excuse for losses, then they've got to use them also as excuses to have no excuses for wins when these other teams come in on these long road stretches. Golden State, they're on one of those stretches right now. It should be a situation where we take care of business there. And if they do, I will give them credit. I will talk about the fact that they were able to build upon these wins and continue building upon them. It's not like the Eastern Conference is this, hard conference to really make up any ground in. I mean, the Eastern Conference, the Sixers are in the 5 seat right now at 15-12. They're a game and a half out of behind Cleveland, who's in the 3 hole. They're also 3 games out of missing the playoffs in the 11th seed. So the Eastern Conference, from the 3 seed down to hell, we'll even go to Washington at the 12 seed. There's literally 6 games that separate the 3 team through the 12 team. Eastern Conference is wide open. It's early still, obviously. We're 25, 27 games. We're a little bit past the quarter-way point of the season. But you can make up ground right now. These games that you should win right now, you can build upon it right now. You can instill some confidence in the fan base. You can excite the fan base a little bit. We start stacking wins. You're gonna build some confidence amongst yourselves as players and as a team, but you're also going to build some confidence amongst the fans. Maybe the Wells Fargo Center, I don't even know what's it called anymore. I don't even know. Starts getting a little loud again. I mean, you think about it. Last night's game, dominating performance. It was quiet at the center last night. Fans weren't standing. I mean, you had a dominating game, big dunks and big threes, and Matisse Thybulle getting all over the place and everything going right, and some golf claps out there. It wasn't a loud, raucous crowd. I know it was a Tuesday night in December, Christmas season. It wasn't a pumped up house. But if you start stacking these wins and you start going on a winning streak, then great Sixers win. Yeah, but Avery, thanks for checking in, my man. Tons of potential. We're past the potential point. Man, you got a Steelers logo back there. Sorry. Tons of potential. We're past potential at this point. Don't we want more than potential at this point with the Sixers? Expectations should be higher for this team. And it was a great Sixers win. But I feel like an awful person right now for being negative and being grumpy towards them after winning a really good game last night. And it's because they've instilled I always talk about this losing culture, Avery, that they have that Doc Rivers has instituted there, that it's okay to lose sometimes. But that's kind of rubbed off on me, where I have this loser negative mentality towards my Sixers. And I'm frustrated by it. I really am. We should be pumped. We should be jumping for joy. It was a really good win last night. Yet, if they go and drop Friday night to the Golden State Warriors, doesn't matter. Even if they win. Well, if they win, that'd be 4 in a row, and maybe we're starting to get a little momentum. To me, this 3-game winning streak at this point just balances out the 3-game losing streak they just had. So they need to do more, 4, 5, 6 games in a row, whatever it may be. They need to go on a long stretch to really build that confidence. They need to go on so right now they're 3-0 on this 7-game homestand. I want to see 6-1 on this homestand. And then they go 4 on the road. I need to see 2-2 or 3-1. Excuse me. I need to see some stacking. And look, Golden State's not the Golden State of before. They're struggling. I'm not sure why Golden State. I haven't really watched a lot of Golden State yet this year, but they're struggling. Toronto is struggling as well. Then you got Detroit, Cade Cunningham out for the year. Then you got the Clippers. Hell, there's a scenario if you build up enough momentum, you win all 4 of those games and you get a 7-win home stretch. Then the Knicks stink but are good. I don't know. They're a middling team. Washington stinks. New Orleans is great. Oklahoma City stinks. So you could hypothetically win 3 out of 4 on the road. There's a chance we're 9-2 in this 11-game stretch. 9-2, 8-3, 10-1, something like that. It's very possible. But I feel like that's what it would take. A really, really strong run to close this calendar year. So when the book opens on January, the second half of the year, kind of like the NBA season doesn't really start until Christmas Day. I've heard people say that before. The season doesn't really start to count and mean anything until the second half of the season, the new calendar year. There's a chance that's what it takes you, but to be that confident at that point, to change my opinion, to change my confidence level, they're going to need to go on it. All right, so here we go. I feel that, man. But for everyone that's been getting there, without our shining star, Therese, you got to keep progressing. You got to keep building. And everybody, depressed Steelers fan, man. Long story short, my dad was a Steelers fan as well. I mean, we're an Eagles family. We grew up an Eagles family, but he spent a lot of time in Pittsburgh. His grandparents lived out in Pittsburgh, so summer times he would spend out there. So he had a little bit of a Steelers. So we sometimes root for the Steelers in this household. We do. They just to get that confidence. What they need to do is they need to keep winning these games without Matisse or without Tyrese Maxey. Keep building this confidence of the team, and as they build the confidence of the team, the fan base confidence will be built upon, and we'll start stacking some confidence. And as we do that, then our confidence levels, fans, will change. But we need to see it night in and night out. We need to make sure we don't see a Joel Embiid mopey game or James Harden and him with miscommunication. We don't need to see Doc Rivers continually be, look, Matisse starting, he should probably start again. Look, our bench has got issues, especially with all the injuries. Well, on Friday night, if I was Doc Rivers, even if Melton is ready to go, I'm starting Matisse and letting Melton come off the bench. It would improve your bench as well. That would be me. Doc's got to get consistent with it. He's got to bring some consistency to how he coaches this team. And obviously, he's got to actually coach the team too. I don't know if he actually does anything. I heard somebody say the other day, Melton hasn't practiced in a while, and I'm thinking in my head, well, I thought they never practiced anyway. See, negative thoughts like that. Me wanting to make negative jokes about this team and Doc Rivers. It just becomes too much part of the regular culture, rotation, mindset, thought process as a fan of this team. there's just way too much of that negativity. And look, like I said, hell, if they go 9-2 or between the home and road stretch, that 11-game stretch I was just talking about, that's great. It's not going to change my opinion of Doc Rivers. He's still got to go, in my opinion. He's still going to be the one thing that holds us back. On the flip side of the equation, unless they go 2-9, which they're not because they've already won the first 3 of this home stretch, unless they have an 0-10, 1-9 stretch, there's no chance Doc goes anywhere. He's here for the season. And I really think the root of my issues of getting excited about a big Sixers win really lies right there. Is that I know Doc isn't going anywhere. Doc is going to be here for the entire season. But Doc Rivers is also going to be the first reason why this team fails to get over the hump once the playoffs come. Look, this team could sleepwalk, as they have been this year. They're 15-12, 15-11, whatever it is. They could sleepwalk. They will make the playoffs. I know I said they're a game out of 3 and 2 games out of the 12 spot, whatever it may be. But there's so much talent on this team. They're going to make the playoffs. Now, where in the standings they end, that's another whole subject. But they will make the playoffs. But that wasn't the goal of this team. The goal of this team was to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. Well, I think we said before on the kickoff show, those Eastern Conference Finals are bust. Man. Eastern Conference Finals are bust. Well, Doc's going to be the reason, and his coaching side, not being able to draw up a play, not being able to get these guys all on the same page day in and day out. That's going to be what holds us back. And I think that's why I'm so down on this team. Because we've seen this story before. This story has been read before. John B gets hot, plays at an insane. I mean, he leads the league in freaking scoring again right now. And last year, hitting 30 points a game was great. He's at 33.1 points a game or 33.2 points a game right now. It's insane. He is having one of the most dominant stretches of all time. But we've seen this story before. We know how the story goes. He either gets hurt or he gets mopey when things don't go well. Doc Rivers doesn't know how to make the adjustments when things don't go well. James Harden misses time. He's already done that. They might not actually work together. They might not actually be a good pair. We've seen this before. George Niang, too many minutes. Playing Matisse sometimes, not other times. Tobias Harris, struggling to find a way to get him involved. You see last night with how many people were missing. You get Tobias Harris. You get Tobias Harris into the right flow of the game, he could take over sections of the game. He was even though he shot 2 of 6 deep, very, very effective last night. Very important last night. If you don't have Tobias Harris playing the way you do last night, we don't win the game the way we do. But why can't Doc get him involved like that every single night? It would take pressure off of Joel. It would take pressure off of James Harden. It would take pressure off of Matisse, Tyrese, everybody. If you can get Tobias Harris scoring 18, 19 points a game, taking 12, 14 shots a game, the right shots, not any shots, the right shots, things work out better. But Doc doesn't do that. And I really think that's the root of my problem right there. That Doc just doesn't. He just doesn't. He can't. I honestly don't think he's got it in him to coach anymore. I really do. I just don't think. I said it like 2 years ago. He just didn't look like he wanted to be there. I think that when he left the Clippers, that if Josh Harris doesn't call him and make that big money offer to him to come to Philly, he probably sits out a few years and takes a break. The guy's got to be burned out at this point and frustrated. And you hear the frustrations coming out in his press conferences and stuff like that when he gets snippy and all. But again, it was a great win. And I'll put your comment back up on the screen. Great Sixers game. It's exactly what we needed last night. Now, we got 2 days off. Hopefully, DeAnthony Melton is healthy by Friday. And hopefully they can win another game and keep building upon this. I was looking at the prices on StubHub. Last night's game, you could buy cheap tickets for like $8. Friday's game like $70 some because it's Golden State. People don't realize Golden State's probably not the good team that they used to be. You know, Curry's getting older. Klay Thompson's getting older, obviously. Jordan Poole still trying to integrate and figuring out what that is. They're still a really good team, and I kind of feel like they're kind of in that. You know, they just want to get to the new calendar year, then flip the switch, and then take off. But we'll see. But they're on a stretch where they're on a long road trip. They're getting beat up by good teams. So maybe it's a prime opportunity for the Sixers to win another game, get that 4-game winning streak, and then build going against Toronto. I mean, there really is a scenario where they could go 7-0 on this homestand, and then we're talking. If they go 7-0 on this homestand, that gets them up to 7 games over 500. It really starts turning the tide into the next season, next half of the season. So we're going to take a quick pause in the action. Today's show is brought to you by Gents Barber Lounge. Check out one of their 2 great locations in Fishtown and Old City and book your appointment today. Rated the #1 barbershop in the Philadelphia area on Yelp. Able to handle any style cut, adult or kid. Check out some of their great work right here. And we are back here at Trending in the AM on DSM Media. Again, we're going to reset for a second here. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe all over social media, especially on the YouTube page. We'd greatly appreciate that as we continue this road to 700. We're so close to 700 subscribers. We need your help. I put this morning show up against anybody else's morning show. I'm a little under the weather with this cough for like 600 weeks in a row. So I apologize for the coughing, but I put my work up against anybody. No matter how sick I am, I'm here every single morning talking Sixers, Eagles, Phillies, any trending topics with you. So anybody watching now live or on replay, you can share this out, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, subscribe to the DSM Media YouTube page. Yes, as some people are saying in the comments, it is my birthday today. Give me the best birthday gift. Get me to 700 subscribers today. That would be the ultimate right there. So we spent a good 30 plus minutes talking Sixers, and I want to move on from that for a little bit. So yesterday I was thinking, and I see this on social media a lot. I see this trend of people, you had such a bad take. I'm saving. Jalen Hurts is great. He's having an MVP season, but I saved all the receipts of everybody that said Jalen Hurts stinks after his rookie year or when they drafted him or he's never going to amount to anything. There's so many people out there. They hold these receipts, these grudges. Yes, and some fans take their bashing or dislike of players obviously too far. Obviously, we saw that with Jalen Reagor, and we're going to get into Jalen Reagor in a second. People definitely take it way too far and bully and harass and attack people's family. We saw it with Nick Castellanos' family getting attacked this year. So those things are obviously not good. But what I don't understand is the average fan that's on social media, that's on Twitter, why can't we be wrong? Look, I was right. I'm not trying to say that I was wrong. I've been supporting Jalen Hurts since day one. My first big tweet that ever blew up was on draft night when the Eagles drafted Jalen Hurts. But this thread that everybody can't be wrong. Like if you're not, there's so many people out there that say like if you weren't supporting Jalen Hurts from day one, you can't jump on the Jalen Hurts bandwagon now. Which on a side note, what in the blue hell was Micah Parsons thinking by riling up and egging on Jalen Hurts a little bit more? Saying on some podcast yesterday that is Jalen Hurts the MVP or is it just a really good team around him? Do you think Jalen Hurts needs any more motivation to beat the Cowboys? Any more motivation to be the best? You just gave that boy bulletin board material for the next 2 weeks. Hell, maybe the rest of the season because we'll probably face them in the playoffs as well, the Cowboys. Micah Parsons, have you taken one too many hits to the head? Are you insane? Have you not seen anything from Jalen Hurts? I don't even care whether you think it's him or not. Saying it is the problem. Why would you say that? I know you want to play for the Eagles. Maybe you're just jealous of the Eagles. Maybe that's what it is. You just want to be an Eagle. I wanted you to be an Eagle. I mean, I love Devontae Smith, but everybody knows it's been following me for a long time. Micah Parsons is one of my favorite college players that have come out in ages. I wanted him on the Eagles so bad. Maybe that's what it is. You're just jealous and you wish you were here in Philly and not in that cesspool of Dallas. But anyway, to the point. Why can't people be wrong with their takes? As long as they're not doing them maliciously and attacking in a over the top offensive way. So many people said that they didn't think Jalen Hurts was the guy. And you know what? I'm okay with that. I see why they said that. Look, he wasn't a good thrower of the football. He couldn't throw the deep ball. To me, he had the intangibles and the work ethic to improve upon it. And I said, you can't teach leadership. You can't teach dedication and desire and want. But you could teach a guy to improve his footwork. You could teach a guy to his release angle, to adjust his release angle on a deep ball. You could work on arcs and spins and things like that. So that is why I was so high on Jalen Hurts, is that I took the intangibles and knew he would put the effort in with his coaching staff and on his own to get better. But a lot of people didn't. And I saw that, and I understood why. Dally's the MVP candidate. Leader in the clubhouse. If it was ended right now, he'd probably win the MVP. MVP is like power rankings, so it could change all the time. So the question is, why aren't people allowed to be wrong on Jalen Hurts? Why do you got to bash them? There are so many in sports Twitter. I wouldn't be on Twitter if it wasn't for sports. And I love Twitter, and I love the Twitter community, and I love talking Eagles with everybody. I live tweet games, and I interact with so many people. I love it. We keep my page and my interactions to a very friendly, fun engagement. And that's what I want. That's what I hope to always do. Nobody's opinions tossed aside. If you didn't think Jalen Hurts was going to be good, we'd have a discussion on it. But there's so many people on Twitter, which I kind of feel like Twitter's really for just two things: talking sports or talking politics. Now, I got a lot of political words muted, so I don't even see them anymore. But sports, man, there's so many bad takes out there. But it's okay. Like, I just can't get over it. So I put that out there. I'm like, why can't people have bad takes and be wrong? And then, I get called a flip-flop sometimes. And it's for side reasons, but also because I change my opinion. But it's not that I change my opinion. I evolve my opinion. And people are allowed to do that. They're allowed to evolve their opinion as we gain more data. Jalen Hurts, I saw the potential. But I also saw potential in Carson Wentz. Hell, going into the 2020 season is when I first started podcasting, first started tweeting a little bit, first started writing for a now-defunct website. I had Jalen Hurts as the fourth best quarterback in the NFL. Not Jalen Hurts, Carson Wentz as the fourth best quarterback in the NFL. Guess what? I was wrong. See, I admit it. I was wrong. I once thought, when we traded Ken Giles to the Houston Astros, that Vince Velasquez had to be a part of that trade. Why? Because I thought Vince Velasquez was going to be a Cy Young winner in Major League Baseball. Guess what? I was wrong. When the whole T.O. Donovan McNabb situation unfolded in 2005, I thought T.O. was wrong and Donovan was the man. Guess what? I was wrong. I could go on and on. On and on. About all the mistakes that I've made, bad sports takes that I've had. I was so excited when Tommy Joseph got called up from the minors finally. I couldn't wait. Don Brown. He was untouchable. I couldn't get off of that one. Guys, we're all wrong. It's just sports opinions. These things are out there. Why can't we be wrong? So I put a thread out there yesterday, and I wanted to know what everybody else's best bad takes were. And of course, my man Jason had the worst of all. when he was talking about trading Bryce Harper before he won the MVP last year. But that's probably takes the cake. But here, look, I've got a lot in here about big Jalen Hurts haters. We got one here, my man, Eric Bergatero, at Bergatero on Twitter. Thought Ben Francisco was going to hit 30 home runs for the Phillies in a single season. Wow. That's a bad one. I'm not going to lie on that one. When I thought football richer, when he thought Ford Field wasn't a dome. I don't even know where that comes from. Mike Giletto, great dude, great podcaster over at Fired Up Sports. He said Jalen Hurts flat out stinks. He also was scared. He didn't like the Zach Wheeler signing. Thought Zach Wheeler was going to be the next Jake Arrieta. We've got Scotty, my man. Scotty wanted to trade Joel Embiid and keep and build around Ben Simmons. I remember that one. I really do. That was bad. He also told me, what about letting Travis Fulgham go as a mistake? Man, I will say, I was dead right on the Travis Fulgham stuff. I knew he was just a flash in the pan. I was right. My man Spider Rico at Love the Under. He thought LeBron James was just an ESPN hype job coming out of high school. Well, see, doesn't it feel good? All your bad takes, exposing them and admitting them, doesn't mean you're an awful person. Doesn't mean you can now say that LeBron James is great and one of the number 2 player of all time. He is the number 2 player of all time, not number 1. Obviously, Michael is. And don't give me Kobe's better than LeBron. Kobe's number 3. We'll just say that. It's Michael, it's LeBron, it's Kobe. But these people are always with these kind of bad takes. My man Carter Hart. He thought Donald Pumphrey was the next Darren Sproles. So did Howie Roseman. That was a big miss from Howie Roseman right there. That running back draft class that year was stacked running back class. And we got Donald Pumphrey out of it. My man, Aaron, thank you very much, my man. Appreciate it. It's okay. Aaron, you're in the comment section. We're talking, it's okay to be wrong about your bad takes. You know, the people that bash everybody for their bad takes. What was you're a Mets fan. You probably got some bad takes out there that you've given. It's okay. The fact that people want to say that I'm saving receipts because you had such a bad hot take, it drives me nuts. It pisses me off. Thank you, my man Scotty. I appreciate it. Although your Ben Simmons build around, bad take. I mean, someone takes the cake right there. It does. It's got to. We got more here. My man Mike Sal 1 on Twitter, did not want to trade Sixto Sanchez for JT Realmuto. Now, Sixto Sanchez is still pretty young, but man, that trade worked out for the Phillies so well. My man Jason, thank you. I'm enjoying reading these. I really am. Really enjoying reading all these bad takes that everyone has. My man El Parcera thought Jalen Reagor would be a Pro Bowl starting wideout. Well, I just counted that with, I thought J-Jaw was going to be a serviceable wide receiver. I didn't think he was going to be a Pro Bowler, but I thought Ortega Whiteside was going to figure it out eventually and become a serviceable wide receiver. Of course, we got lots of Carson Wentz. We got Kylie here. BB Sports Sully. I thought Carson Wentz was the answer in Indy and thought Carson and Jalen Hurts was going to be awful here. Well, there's a lot of bad Carson Wentz takes out there and a lot of bad Jalen Hurts takes out there. It's exactly. It's got, and I think this sums up the whole point here. Everybody that wants to say that they're holding receipts, and there's people telling me that they're well, first off, Jason, I don't know if yours was the worst. Scotty saying he'd build around Ben Simmons and trade Joel Embiid like 2 years ago. Maybe the worst. Maybe I will do a poll on the worst sports takes. Maybe I will put a poll together. But the people saying out there, and I'm keeping the receipts of all you Jalen Hurts bashers. I guarantee if I cared enough and I went through that person or the other person, or there's 3 or 4 specifically that just jump out at me that are way over the top on Twitter with the exposing the bad takes. I guarantee if I go through their pages, I'll find some pretty damn bad takes on theirs. But because they're right on one thing, Jalen Hurts, does it not matter? Look, I got so many people that say, like, and the thread kind of we're having fun with this thread and this topic, but there are people legitimately that are responding also, no, I'm saving these receipts. People went over the top. Oh my God. Yeah. I love when I get the spam. Let's block that user and all those comments. People that say that they're saving them, they don't care what I think about this. They're saving these things to expose people for who they really are. Guys, everybody's got bad takes. We just went through a long list of them. This is just what sports debating, sports talking, being a sports fan is about. We formulate an opinion. And sometimes we're right, sometimes we're wrong. It's okay. Look, we could have an opinion right now. Like I said at the beginning of the show, Carlos Correa last night signed record-breaking deal. What was it? $350 million, 13 years to go to the San Francisco Giants. Giants were going to spend big money on somebody. Is Carlos Correa going to be a bust over Trey Turner? Like, we can form an opinion on whose contract and who's the better player, Trey Turner or Carlos Correa. My opinion is the Phillies got the steal of the century comparing those two contracts. Getting Trey Turner for $50 million less, 2 years less, steal of the century. And the Giants are going to regret the Carlos Correa deal. It might be one of the worst contracts in Major League history. We don't know. That right there, Jason, screenshot that. That might be an old bad take exposed 5 years from now. We could be wrong. Trey Turner could end up stinking, and Carlos Correa could go on to an MVP season. You know, it's like, why can't we form opinions based off of the data we have in front of us and project what's going to happen down the line. I mean, that's what we do. Yes, the Giants were overpaid because they were star hunting. I'm surprised that, you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if the Padres now go out and overpay for Dansby Swanson, because the Giants and the Padres both wanted somebody, anybody. They didn't care who it was. So these teams out in the West Coast they're looking to spend their money. They don't care on who, on anybody. But it's not out of the realm of possibility that the Carlos Correa deal turns out to be a good deal. Yeah, you got it. You got to live on the edge and have bad takes. Hell, I talked about literally like 3 weeks ago trading Joel Embiid, and is that a conversation to have? And then he goes out and drops 59 points that night. Not like 3 weeks later, that night. I mean, that's just what we do. That's what Twitter and social media and sports debate. Before Twitter, you were just at the bar with your friends, banging around and knocking down a couple beers and talking sports. That's what I did in college. There was no Twitter when I was in college. Yeah, that was a long time ago. Some of you weren't even born then. I did do a whole apology show for Joel. I am sorry still to Joel. Look, this is what we do. And I just think the people on social media that want to hold receipts because you had a bad take at one point in your career or your life, it's ludicrous. Are you that bored with your life? And some people know, some people don't. I've got 2 or 3 specific names that are in my mind that I'm thinking of as I talk about this, but there's a lot more than that. There's probably dozens of people out there that are just way over the top with the holding the receipts. But guys, I mean, you know how many times in the late 80s, early 90s, I thought the Phillies were going to go to the World Series? I knew that was going to be their year. Come on. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's okay, guys. It's okay to be wrong. It's okay to have bad sports takes. It's okay to take a chance and have some fun with these takes. Look, I could be wrong. I've been saying it since day one that Doc Rivers, we could bring this whole thing full circle. We talked at the beginning of the show about the Sixers and how disappointed I am in them winning a very good game last night. See, some of them are trolls, but some of them are not trolls, actually. Some of them are legit people that think they're legit, at least. But we bring this whole show full circle. And I said it. After spending 25, 30 minutes talking Sixers, I said, the problem that I have with the Sixers is because I can't get confident after 3 wins because of the same story that's been told time and time again with Doc Rivers. Now, this team is super uber talented, the Sixers. Is there a scenario where Doc Rivers and this crew puts it together, figures it all out, and all of a sudden goes on a deep run and gets to the Eastern Conference Finals and proves us wrong? Guess what'll happen when that happens? I will come on this show and say, I was wrong about Doc Rivers. But I'm not going to expose my bad. It's not like you have to screenshot me saying fire Doc Rivers. It's just what's in front of me information-wise. It's what my mind sees something and computes it and spits out. Doc Rivers is the reason that we're struggling. And I think it's time for everybody to relax. Let's enjoy. See, I'm bringing up Doc Rivers, but a lot of this is really starting because of the whole Jalen Hurts situation. And we got a great guest tomorrow on the show, Dale Carlson. He's a football coach. He's coached in college, the pros. He's coached with some of the greatest names. I think he coached under Tuberville in college. This guy knows more about football than we can ever imagine. He's forgotten more about football than we can imagine. And we're going to get into this whole Jalen Hurts situation with him. Yeah, you're really trying to find what are you trying to expose me for every bad take? Yes, I did not like Philly Rob. I still am not 110% on Philly Rob. Bad takes are there. We've all got them. But this guy knows so much about football that we're going to have on tomorrow, Dale Carlson. And we're going to talk about this Jalen Hurts and how quickly he's evolved. And how on the coach's side, this is something that really, really intrigues me. You know, coaches set expectations for teams, and obviously every team wants to win a title every year in every league and every sport, but realistic expectations as well. But then when those expectations change mid-season, how you handle that locker room, those players, and that. So I'm really looking forward to having Dale Carlson on tomorrow. He's been on the show before, and the guy I could just listen to him talk for hours upon hours about football. But all these bad takes, there have been bad takes, whether it's Joel Embiid bad takes, Ben Simmons bad takes, Rob Thompson bad takes, Bryce Harper bad takes, but none of them have been so divisive and so divided as Jalen Hurts. And because Jalen Hurts if Jalen Hurts had just improved a little bit this year, say the Eagles are 9-4 or 8-5, Jalen Hurts, instead of going from A, stopped at C this year, on his way to E 2 years from now. Instead of just jumping right to the end of the line and becoming one of the best players in football, the story would be different. We wouldn't be exposing bad takes. We wouldn't be talking like this. But because he's taken such a jump, the Jalen Hurts supporters out there, some of them are taking it to an extreme where they just got to rub it in everybody else's face. But they were right. You don't see me rubbing it. Well, maybe I rub it a little bit. Maybe I occasionally say, well, I thought he couldn't throw the deep ball, or I thought he didn't know how to throw a football and whatnot. But guys, why can't we just enjoy the Jalen? We've died in this city for a franchise quarterback. We had Donovan McNabb for 14 years, whatever it was, 12 years in this city. And he was the closest thing we've ever had to a franchise quarterback. He was a franchise quarterback, honestly. And we've struggled since then. We've gone to the Nick Foles, his first time here. You know, Carson Wentz. You know, Michael Vick. We've bounced around with a lot of guys. We're wanting and craving that stability of a franchise quarterback. We've got them. Yes, some people were wrong. Some people were right. It's okay. Let's all just enjoy the fact that we've probably, barring injury, barring, anything catastrophic happening, knock on wood that it doesn't, We've got our guy for the next 10 years, 12 years. And there's just going to be Jalen Hurts to me is the type of guy that he's just going to keep getting better. He's always going to get better. He wins a Super Bowl and MVP this year. Well, he's going to win 2 next year and 3 the year after that. He's never going to be content. And it's okay. If you didn't see that at first, my Twitter space, my morning show, this is your safe spot. You can admit you were wrong and not be bashed. All right, we're going to wrap up Trending the AM right there. DSM Media, again, it's a lot of fun. Very cathartic for people to admit their mistakes. It's okay to make mistakes. That's what we did here today. We admitted mistakes. We admitted our bad takes. And we talked about the Sixers as well. Again, like I said, Dale Carlson, great football mind, a guy that's been coaching football for 30, 40 years, be joining the show tomorrow morning to talk football, to get the coach's perspective on what's going on with the Eagles. Plus, he's a Bears fan. He's from Chicago originally. So we'll get some of his thoughts on our opponent, the Chicago Bears, this week. Everybody have a great Wednesday. We'll be back tomorrow morning. Hey, it's okay. If you were wrong on Jalen Hurts, I forgive you. Train the AM, DSM Media, Phil Stifle. Make sure you shoot me a follow. Subscribe.
And Philadelphia has it.